Welcome to the podcast where you eavesdrop into conversations between my friends and I on a weekly basis. My name is Lily Jo. I'm a singer, songwriter, and I perform shows all over the world. I'm a qualified counsellor and an emotional wellbeing coach. You can also check out my award-winning online mental health resource, The Lily Jo Project. I know you will find gems of wisdom within the conversations that I have with my friends. Hopefully you will find tools and resources that you can hold on to, try and test for yourself, all around the important subject of mental health and personal development. I am so pleased to welcome you to today's episode of Eavesdrop. This week's podcast features our good friend and founder of the Busy Doing Good platform, Clare Hooper. In today's episode, we get up close and personal with Clare as she shares with us stories about her life as a mum, her greatest achievements, and advice for balancing work and family. Grab a brew, stay tuned. You're welcome to Eavesdrop. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thanks for making the effort to make the
really
journey
well.
and be here. So tell the listeners, what are your greatest achievements?
Oh, when you wrote this question, I was like,
life.
That's great. Well,
it's a good question.
It's a good question because have you ever done the Strengths Finder?
I have, and I love it.
My top one is Achiever. So for me, when you ask me, I'm like, I love to get to the end of the day and go, tick box, I've done something really good for the world today. I really enjoy achieving good things. My greatest achievement would be my family and kids. Not just saying that as a cliche. I love being a mum above anything else. Nobody else can be mum to my kids, and it's my greatest joy to have finally an adult. I raised an adult this year.
I love that.
A whole real life adult person. He started in my tummy as a tiny little being, and now he's grown. Well, he's still quite tiny now, but he's
amazing.
But he is just a delight, and he's such a good young man, and I love him. Yeah. So yeah, the kids and watching them really flourish into being independent, like courageous human beings is such a delight. Married for 21 years in February.
Wow.
So that I feel like is an achievement.
Absolutely. The highs and the lows of that must have been
diamonds and stones.
Crazy. Yeah.
Some days have been up there, and some days have been, what have I done? What was I thinking? But yeah, you just take that through. And we were not really childhood sweethearts, but we met at 18 and 19, and we've dated for 5 years and then married for 21 years. So it's been a good time. It's
achievement. Yeah, 26 years in each other's worlds. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And I suppose work-wise, I feel like I've always knew I wanted to be a working parent. You know, you find yourself on a sliding scale, don't you?
Yeah.
Some are like absolutely want to be full-time and I love to have kids, or even don't want to have children and feel like they're in a career mode, or some are right at the opposite end of the scale where they're a stay-at-home mum. I probably am in the middle. I always knew I wanted to work, and I always wanted to raise a family, and I kind of wanted to do half and half, to try and have the best of both worlds. So the jobs that I've picked to do, I've tried to fit around that. I worked in teaching for years, and we achieved, as a team there, we achieved some amazing things. We had groups of students that would come from high school with no GCSEs. That was the group that we taught between us, and you'd be looking at these young men and young women, no exams, nothing, never passed anything, never finished anything, and we worked out a really sneaky system that helped them achieve better. And between us as a team of teachers, there was 3 of us that were on this team, we just constantly used to be creative in saying, how can we get these students to, for the first time in their life, to pass something?
Wow.
So we had a few years on the run where 100% of the students that came achieved pass and above, and 100% of the students 100% retention. So every student that started finished the course.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, in FE, that's like incredible, but in children and young men and women who emotional behavioural difficulties, challenging like circumstances, maybe done most of their schooling in Peru's, achieved nothing in terms of academic. We had so it was a great, that was brilliant.
That's amazing.
Then I think just carrying that same desire to see people live beyond, be aspirational for what they could do, has taken me into other roles as well. I managed a daycare for a number of years with a friend of mine, and again we just took a young group of young women as employees, and maybe minimum wage, so like here you go, somebody not necessarily skilled skilled and some skilled because they had nurse qualifications, and put it together, and we worked over a period of 5 or 6 years and got that to outstanding.
Wow.
I know. But for us, what it was about was taking, again, the same groups, the same kinds of people, those who maybe would never experience this kind of high. You know, some people live in that elite, don't they? Where they're already got a sense of understanding about achieving goals, or like, you know, passing exams, or being able to, because they've had parents' influence or a great teacher or coach. But there's lots of people who don't, who just drift into life or job or experience or parenthood or whatever comes next for them, without somebody behind them just going, we could do this together. So the daycare
everybody
very
needs
much
a cheerleader, don't they? Everybody needs someone that's going to go, I believe in you, I love you, keep going. And like you say, not everybody has that. At home, you take that for granted.
Totally. And so then if you've not got it at home, is there another way you can introduce that? So that's definitely the ethos we had in that department. And because we, in both those settings, I mean, you've got the teaching, so there's loads of like restrictions on what you're supposed to be pointing the students to, and in daycare there's Ofsted, so you've got all these elements. But in actual fact, if you don't make it about the end goal and about the way you get there, instead, we just found that much more positive. So we kept saying, when we don't work for Ofsted, we work for the parents of these children. What we want is the best experience for these families and children that are coming. And for those young women who were working in that daycare, they could understand that. So they didn't have the fear of this massive organisation looming over them every day. They were inspired to create a better environment for the children. And along the way, we made sure they tick boxes. But but
hid it almost.
But for them, you know, we've got this group of people. So that, and then just loads of amazing opportunities with my jobs that I've been in. I've had some great jobs, met some amazing people over my years in life. Just, do you think people are fascinating, and curious, and interesting? And
What are your other strengths finders? So what are your other top 4? Can you remember?
So achiever is my top one, and then responsibility.
Oh,
so I'm a responsibility taker. Belief. Includer and strategic.
Wow. So you've nearly... So you haven't got any orange, any influencer?
No, not
that
apparently
surprises me.
But people often suggest I might have woo, but I don't. I mean, But apparently the top 10 in that Strengths Finder are very close.
Yes, they are.
You can fluctuate.
You can get all 34 as well, and like see what they all are.
Yeah, I'd love to do that at some point.
And you can do it for children as well.
Yeah, well, I've never done it for I've done other tests for my kids, but have you done it with yours?
Not yet. I only found that out on Friday.
How young do they recommend?
I think it was 10.
Okay, that would make sense because they're a bit more formed, aren't they, in their thinking. And
so it's really interesting. So I have in mine, my first one is activator.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah. So I have activator and maximizer. So kind of that's 2 orange ones. I don't have any purple though, like you. Which is the execution strengths. Whereas Pete on my team, he has quite a lot of those, and so does Shelby, which is fantastic. And then I have some people ones. I have empathy. And then I have futuristic in the red.
I think if I get to the end of a day and I've not done something productive, I'll go home and empty my cupboards and clean. Just to feel like I've got something that I can put on my little internal tick box of like, I've done something good today.
Well, apparently achievers start every day at 0. So
when you
wake up,
that's true.
You start again at 0.
That's
you have to achieve.
What I would do.
And so I was asking. So my friend Karen, she's a Strengths Finder coach, and she's been trained in the Gallup Strengths Finder. She's been to America. She paid a lot of money to do it. She's incredible, and I was sat in a team with her the other day and watched her do a session. And
Interesting.
It was brilliant. And she said she's an achiever. And so I asked the question: how do achievers rest? Because if you have to start every day at 0, but you have to achieve something to get to the end of the day, how do you rest? And she said, I have to put it on my to-do list to rest, whether that's having a bath or she now uses all her train journeys as rest. And she used to work on train journeys because she was an achiever. So she'd read books or watch DVDs or do something to...
It's true, and I suppose instinctively I would do that. And when you match them all up with other parts of your personality, then they're your strengths, they're your leadership gifts.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Enneagram, which is your internal drivers. Have you done your Enneagram?
I've just done it, but tell me more about the Enneagram.
Now, I'm really new to the Enneagram.
Same, yeah.
But the numbers represent drivers, don't they? Your core drivers are your core beliefs that make you respond to other people, and you can have, again, like all of them, positive or negative. So I'm a 2, which is the helper.
Yes.
So what did you come out as?
Oh, I don't like mine, but apparently you don't like the ones that you are. Apparently, so I'm the performer.
Okay.
Type 3, I think that was.
Yes, yeah, I've got a friend. I think that's Matt as well. I think that's my husband, actually.
So that's sort of... It's very driven, very goal focused.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like it. I was like, I don't want to be that person. I want to be a nice, kind person.
I know. But when you read the negatives,
exactly.
So like the helpers for me, they're all actually performance based. If you read them, that you behave a certain way because you want to be seen as better in somebody's eyes. So it's all to do with your nurture as a child, I believe, and how you were nurtured, or maybe even lack of nurture caused you to behave in a certain way. And then you perform out a role that recognises the drivers that are inside of you. Now, I've not done loads of research, but that's as far as I've got.
So I really enjoyed it, and somebody really recommended it to me, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a go, but I've not got any further. I've listened to a couple of podcasts on it, but it's very fascinating, isn't it?
It's so fascinating. I think, incredibly, incredibly important to know and understand yourself. Because then you understand what makes you tick, you understand why you think the way that you do, and then why other people don't think like you.
Yeah.
And so then you can have much more empathy, can't you?
Yeah, you can celebrate that.
Yeah, you can celebrate those differences, and you can actually celebrate the differences that are in you. And you go, my personality is the protagonist on the... Have you done the 16 personalities test?
No.
ENFJ. So that's another one. So that's more how your life experiences have developed your personality type. So your personality traits are much more about the way you do things or tick, the way that you interact with people. So I'm an ENFJ, which is, again, very similar to the helper. I want to do things for the greater good. I want to make the world a better place, and shouldn't we all? And sometimes I can be impatient as to why don't you all want to do, like good works all the time, and then achiever, and then I'm a responsibility taker, and I'm like, goodness me, people.
Life is very fun. I love that. So that does lead me on to the next question, because we look. So tell us about what you're doing in the world now to help people. Tell us about Busy Doing Good.
Oh, yes. I mean, that was a dream I've had for a long time. I started with a blog, actually. It's funny the things that you find yourself doing that you were like, this could never be me. If I put this down on paper, if you'd have told myself, my younger self, I would be doing it. I am the least likely person to want to write something. I avoid writing. I'm mildly dyslexic, but I'm not a reader. I struggle to absorb information in the written word. I'm much more a practical doer. I love listening to people. I love doing things alongside people, but sitting down and reading or writing would have been like my last on my list of things for enjoyment. So when I started to really think about communicating some ideas around parenting and family life, and it just started bubbling up inside of me. Have you ever had that when you've just been like, well, I suppose this podcast is that for you, or your music, or it just bubbles up inside of you, it burns brighter, and you think, I need an outlet for that. And at the time, this is maybe 4 years ago, blogging was still quite a, maybe on the decline a little bit, but still quite an easy way of communicating your thoughts, your experiences, like your Pinterest ideas that are in your head, and putting it all down on paper. So I started doing a parenting blog, just one on my own, but it just never felt like it was fully right, like complete. I wanted to include a lot of people, and I tried to do it in that one blog place, but it didn't work. So earlier this year, I was like, okay, I'm just going to relook at this whole thing. I'm going to find a way of including lots of people's ideas. It's just because it's what I love to do, includer, if we go back to that, I'm like, you've got way better ideas than me on that subject, or I can pull it all together. So it actually is very new. It was only September we actually finally launched it, but it's been brewing behind the scenes longer than that.
Yeah. So what is it? Tell listeners.
Sorry. What is it? She's like, yeah. Creative. Gets the point, Claire. I'm an artist. I'm an artist. Can't rush these things.
My maximizer is like, come on, tick box. What is Busy Doing Good?
Okay, it is an online resource But mainly it is a magazine on Instagram, an Instazine. So rather than filling people's feed every day with something inspirational, we are once a month collecting together like magazine type information and releasing it all in one go on Instagram. An Instazine, a magazine
so
on
cool.
Instagram.
I love it.
It's fun.
And the followers have really grown from zero
to
nearly 1,000 followers. By the time this goes out, I'm sure there will be.
And it's like obviously caught the attention, and it's a faith-based one, but it's more like it's to help people use what we would say like the ways of Jesus, that lifestyle. This man that, if you're a person of faith, you might understand it a little bit, that this man that lived a life on earth and then wrote these things down and did things in certain ways, impacted. How do you bring that into a modern day family life? And that's what Busy Doing Good is for. It's inspirational, it's aspirational, it's fun, it's a collective, it's a club, it's a doing it together. It's because we're busy doing good from the moment we wake up to when we go to sleep. The moment our head raises from the pillow to when it hits, family life is all about collecting those moments and putting it all together. And I just think it takes a village to raise a child. We need some help, don't we, sometimes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've contributed. You did a video for us.
I have contributed. I loved it. I actually filmed my video in a taxi, and the taxi driver was just like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, well done. I didn't even hear the taxi driver.
I was in the back seat. I had to do a lot of takes to get that right. Yeah, this taxi driver, poor guy, going from Euston to Pimlico.
I think we probably will have had about 50 people contribute to it.
Wow.
And that's just going to grow because each time we do, there's 9 squares. So each time we do it, 9 different contributors pulling together ideas, fun facts, wisdom, collective. And it's colourful and it's bright and it's a pop of joy on your Instagram feed.
It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. And I love your heart, Claire, for partnership and working together, because so many people just kind of sit in their corners and say, this is mine, this is what I'm doing, whereas actually, you know, we can do so much more when we collaborate and we work together and we partner and we're open with our stuff, you know. And I think that's really, you know, it's a central part of what you're doing is this collaboration. It feels really good.
I can't imagine any other way of doing it. And as part of what we're developing further is we're looking to continue to develop inclusive tools on there as well. So looking at using tools that help those that might be out there in the parenting community that are hard of hearing or visually impaired, or developing an accessible resource on social media. I mean, you think about how does somebody who cannot see access images on Instagram, and so we're developing that. We're not there yet. I'd love some advice if anybody out there at all has got any better ideas as to how to do that. I'm really new at it, but it's very important to me that it's inclusive, and I'm not in this on my own, Busy Doing Good. We are a team. I've got a crew of people, that other parents and designers, and that are currently just volunteering their time to put it together. It's fun.
Well done.
Thank you.
It's not easy to just take an idea and make it an actual thing that is accessible to people in the world. I know. Zero to everything. It's like it takes time and effort. And so well done for doing it. Taking the step of faith.
I'd recommend. Courageous. I think there's a lot of people that sit on ideas at home and they just need that little bit of courage. Your confidence grows, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, when you watch children walk and they have that, they just need a tiny bit of courage to walk.
You clap.
Come on, you can do it. Yeah. But once they've got that momentary amount of courage and they begin to do it, it's then confidence that grows. So your courage, if you've got something you're sitting on, an idea or a dream or a thought or you should at least just go for it. Or if you know somebody who's close to you who's got one, just cheer them on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Celebrate them, even if it doesn't come to anything. We know a good bit of cheer. We all need a cheerleader.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
We do all need a cheerleader. There's a quote, I don't know if it was a book or it was going around a lot a while ago, and I saw it on my Pinterest last night because I was looking back through some old boards. Because what do you do with your Pinterest boards? You pin stuff and you never look back. It's like, that's a good idea. Pin, never bake it, never cook it, never buy that outfit.
You feel like you have baked it because it's in there.
And one day you might. I looked back through and there was an image and it only takes 20 seconds of insane courage to make a difference.
Wow.
You know, if you just take that step, just 20 seconds of walking across that room. and making a step.
Just braving it.
It can do anything.
I know.
And we found that definitely this year, like Pete and I and Shelby and the team here at Lily Jo Project team, we've just been being really brave.
Yeah.
And just emailing some people.
Yeah.
And then they go, yeah, sure. And then you go, oh, okay, what do you know? It's happening.
Like, that wasn't the response I was expecting.
Yeah.
I know.
And actually, you might get 100 no's, but you
Yeah,
might
totally.
get one yes, one very important yes.
Yeah, it's true.
And it is worth it, isn't it, for
It's
that
true.
one yes?
It's true, and I think the adventure of life, and that's what sometimes gives you the ability to get yourself through some challenging seasons as well. You know, it's not all.
Yeah.
There are absolutely times in your life when it's really important to just pause and rest. But there's sometimes when things are difficult and you face challenges that it's nothing better than to have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And it could be a creative outlet, it could be a project, it could be something new, a new club or a new hobby, or going somewhere and being brave, making friends, going to one of those events that you've seen on Instagram. They do them all the time, the blogger events. It's like, just get yourself there, be brave, go to a meetup or a local meeting of some kind.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope
It's
that
good for the
encourages
soul.
someone, to just get out and do something different this year. Especially, this is New Year, new start.
Yeah.
What is it that you have had burden on your heart to do that you've never had the courage to step out and do?
Yeah.
Now's your chance.
Yeah, totally.
Clean slate.
Brené Brown says that unused creativity is like cancer to the bones.
Oh.
And I think she's always right. But I think she's right on this one.
amazing.
Brené, if you're listening, I think you're right.
Yeah,
Okay, Clare Hooper
100%.
says. It just makes you feel like if you've got that thing inside of you and you don't expose that creativity, it just eats away at you. It becomes painful. And if you're not doing things that are like your purpose and attached to your purpose and doing things that, why are you on this planet?
Yeah.
That's why those personality tests are so good, right?
They're really helpful, aren't they?
To understand why you're here now, why this world is spinning, and it's been so many times around the sun, and you've been on it for so long, and it's your life now. There's a purpose to everything on there.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that, in destiny and purpose.
Absolutely. Season 2 of Eavesdrop is kindly sponsored by Mediconf. Mediconf promote excellence in health education throughout the UK. For more information on Mediconf, go to mediconf.co.uk. Please find the links in the description box below. And how have you discovered your purpose?
Wow, gosh.
And what would you say your purpose is?
Yeah,
So it's to be helpful.
Yeah, definitely
you've
helpful.
Mentioned that.
Yeah.
You are a helpful person. You bring help to others.
I'm an agitator of creativity, I would say.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I really I just feel like for me, I would love to be in somebody's world for just a few minutes, like Nanny McPhee. When you need me but don't want me, I'll be there.
Yeah.
But when you want me but don't need me, that's when it's time to go.
Yeah. Wow.
Although I haven't got all her warts and bad teeth. Hopefully,
No,
Nanny don't look like Nanny McPhee.
Yes.
But yeah, an agitator of creativity, to be helpful, to help people, I think, see like a greater good, to galvanise people together, to do great things together, and to live a life that they can be proud of. I really would love to help people just be able to break free of some of those things that cause them to feel like there's shame in their lives, or it could have gone better and it didn't. And, you bump into people all the time who just haven't got the encouragement around them, the people that they're living with, the people that they're working with, the people that they're doing life with, not celebrating who they are. So I suppose I found that out. For me, I would say my faith was a massive element of how I found my purpose. I think that those elements that came together, so I would say I follow Jesus as the person that I follow, and in him, the celebration of my faith is what helped me find a completeness in me. For some people, faith for them is not as important, but your path to discovering who you are is definitely, whether you're a believer in Jesus or a believer in another faith or not, an internal job. Like your understanding of who you are and understanding what your purpose is not about what you do, but it's about the way that you do things. I think much more important.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that really makes sense. It's really deep, Claire.
Oh, sorry.
I like it.
Have I gone there?
You've gone there. I didn't expect anything less from you. Absolutely. So I believe that, moving on a little bit, but sort of on the same subject, like forgiveness is a real key in unlocking like mental well-being.
Yeah, definitely.
Being able to forgive and let go and move forward is absolutely so important.
Yes, definitely.
Do you have any real examples of, of forgiveness?
Loads! Every day!
Forgiveness and how forgiving someone helps to move forward and to be in the position you're in now, where you're living free and you're achieving and you're being helpful and you're securing who you are. Yeah. But I do believe that forgiveness has to play a huge part and role in that.
When you live with unforgiveness, it's like replaying, isn't it, that YouTube clip over and over again. You go back to the same clip and you play it over again and you play it over again and you look for even more detail in it and you replay the story, and before you know it, you know that story so well that you forget what's actually going on in the now. And unforgiveness keeps you trapped in a moment. It keeps you captivated and captured by that one moment, or maybe multiple moments. People do bad stuff. They're actually like, every day we bump into humans being human and being like, and our vulnerability then gets affected by somebody else's thoughtlessness. What are the three? I think people do bad things to other people 3 different ways, and through deliberate fault, through ignorance, and through weakness. So like out of choice. So people behave badly towards you out of choice. I don't think that's the biggest way people behave badly towards us. In my experience, I'm like most people, it is ignorance. It's like thoughtlessness. Yeah. They do something and they weren't really thinking about you. They were either thinking about themselves or not thinking about anything, and then they bump into you and hurt you. Or then through like the weakness of they just cannot help themselves. Like they just have patterns, they own have patterns of behaviour. And we are the same to other people. We behave badly through ignorance, through weakness, through deliberate fault, all of those things. And they cause us to have intersections and add trauma into each one of our lives. And in those moments, we have a couple of choices we can make. We can allow those points of trauma and interactions that are unhelpful or unkind to keep us trapped and captivated, or we can use them to build our character for the future. Yes. And I mean, I'm sure, as many people do, I could talk about many opportunities where I've had the chance to live in unforgiveness, and I'm not sure that that's as helpful as saying, well, I mean, good stories are always helpful, aren't they? But I'm not sure it's as helpful of just saying that. I would just recommend that you press pause on some of those stories that you've been replaying over and over again. Just think about it and say, do I want to live here now? Is this where what I want my life to be captivated by? Or is there something that I could be captivated by differently? So is there a place that I could live that allows me to live freer than staying in that place, ruminating? And I would use like a form of meditation. As a believer, I would use prayers or I would use Bible verses to meditate on. But it frees your mind to think positively about the place that you're in. Ruminating causes you to go over something again and again and again and replay it and replay the pain and the discomfort, and it actually becomes more painful, I think, the more you play something over. But when you live and you meditate then on the good things that are around you, on the people that are offering, what is that about? Do you ever find that? Have you ever had a situation where you've posted something or written something and somebody writes, there's just one negative comment or one something that you're not sure about what they say, and you can fixate on that one thing. Yeah, and yet there's
all the positives.
All those hundreds of beating hearts that have been positive towards you, hundreds of beating hearts that have been kind, all the people that you meet, all these beautiful human beings that smile at you, that care for you, that provide for you, that want to be around you, and that one thing that causes you, because it's a point of trauma, but actually only you can pause that video, that YouTube clip, and decide what you're going to do with that pain that you've been through. For some people, you would know as a counsellor, you need a bit more help to get over those moments, don't you? Yeah. And sometimes you do need somebody to talk to, a trusted friend or a counsellor or a therapist, or to get some medical professional help. But very often you just need to press pause, say, do I want to live there, or do I want to move on and move on to my future? That's for me, like... Yeah, again, have I gone? So
helpful. Absolutely so helpful. I think,
Have you got any stories? You might have some.
I have lots of stories of like times where I've been stuck in unforgiveness. And just like, and it just doesn't affect the other person.
Oh, no.
In any way, shape or form. No. It only affects me and only stops me. Yeah. And I think it's just so important that we decide, actually, we need to break the cycle, press pause and move forward. And actually, recently I've been seeing a counsellor.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing.
Have you found it helpful?
Oh, it's just so helpful to just go and sit with someone who doesn't know you from Adam.
I know.
And you can just share what's going on. They have no idea who anyone is that you're talking about, really.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know? And you can just lay it all there, leave it there and leave. And I remember she said to me after the first session, I hope you found that helpful, or maybe she didn't say that, but it was along those lines of, you know, thank you. And I was like, well, I don't know how I feel about it yet. So I'll let you know next week how this week's session has impacted me. And I remember getting to like halfway through the week and thinking, I just feel a bit lighter.
Yeah, okay.
And I can't quite put my finger on it. I was walking my dog and I was like, I just feel lighter.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because all of that is just hidden and unseen within us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was like in me, all this stuff that's then been exercised out of me.
Yeah, I know.
Through talking.
Or just being able to communicate what you felt about something. And for some people that isn't talking actually. You know, for some people they're not external process, For some people they're internal processes, but just the fact that you've got somebody who will let you get to the end of your sentence. Oh, it's an epidemic of this modern day society, is we don't let each other finish what each other's saying. It's like we all can interpret because so much is going on all the time. And you know, when you're talking to somebody and you get the sense, especially people who talk a lot, I wonder sometimes, I think maybe you've just never been listened to. You know, like, and maybe I'm not that person, but maybe you need to pay somebody to go and sit who will just listen to you, and you can just get to the end of your thoughts and you might just feel better. I've got a friend who's a therapist and she says very often people come at different times of their journey, but she said sometimes they will come and they will explain everything they're feeling either in an email or in one session, and that's enough.
Yes.
It's just the ability to communicate something like you were saying, the hiddenness. Yeah. Like to articulate what went on, the fact that it was crap and bad stuff happened, and I just need to be able to say it to somebody and then I can move on. For some people that is enough of a healing journey. For some people they need to be able to go back and like be able to uncover what buried trauma there might have been. But actually not. For different people are just very different in the way they process it.
Exactly, and it depends how far on in your journey. I remember seeing someone who had suffered some abuse as a child, and she was in her 50s, and she was just like 4 sessions and we were done. Yeah. Because she was ready. Yeah, she was ready. She'd chosen it and she was ready to process that and move on from it. So I think it really is about how you process and how you choose to process. And so if you are listening out there and you just want that clean slate, fresh start, therapy is so good.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
Both me and my husband have been there. We've got a great lady that we meet. I had somebody when I was much younger as well and processed a lot of things there. It's just that time to communicate what's been going on. Even if you've not experienced, like, you know, what you would feel is trauma. Yeah. Even just stuff that people have done to you, like ignorance, weakness, deliberate fault, whatever those things are that you've faced, that you've bumped up into. The path to living free of that pain, because it gets buried in you, is just, it's much better on the other side.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's much better on the other side.
It's so good. And I remember sitting there in therapy recently and just being like, the thing is, and I said this to my counsellor, I'm sharing it with all of you guys now, but I just said, I feel like I'm coming in here and I'm talking to you, and there's so many people out there with proper hard things going on, and I feel like this is just like, you know, nothing really. Yeah. And she was like, that makes me really sad that you don't feel like your stuff isn't important. Yeah. That you're not valuing yourself enough to think that you're not important. And she was like, if you're going to be out there helping so many people, you need to be okay. Yeah. So this is really important to you. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Because we can just feel like we're not worthy of therapy, or, you know, our stuff isn't that bad. But actually, if it's causing a blockage and it's stopping you from living your truest, fullest life and crossing that room with courage, please do think about
absolutely
checking out and finding a therapist. And it's so easy to do. Like just Googled, and even as a counsellor, you don't always know counsellors.
Yeah.
And I just Googled like counsellors local to my area, used the postcode. Counselling Directory is amazing. They sponsored the podcast last time, so I'll give them a little shout out. There's loads of amazing therapists out there.
Totally.
That are ready and waiting for you.
Absolutely.
You know.
And I think as well, it's important to note that they're not all the same kind of person either.
True.
So you don't assume if you've had counselling in the past, it's not going to work for you. It might just be that you didn't find the right person.
Absolutely.
Or the right way of doing it. There's so many different kinds of therapeutic services. Would that be the right way to do it? Whether it be counselling or therapy or CBT or different routes that you can go down.
And actually, if you're paying for it, like, you have the right to say, actually, I'm done here and I want to try somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fine.
Absolutely. And I think owning your own story, owning even the pain that you've been through, but owning your own story and creating a narrative and living a life that you can be proud of are all attached to things like purpose and attached to what makes your life better and braver, and living a life that you can look back on, because you will one day. You know, we're young, but we're aging. But you want to be able to look back and go, actually, you know, at those moments that really mattered, I was brave and courageous enough to live a life that I can be proud of.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That's so good. Right then. Last question.
Okay.
So we talked at the beginning about your amazing children.
Yeah.
And
they are.
They're just so great.
I think so.
And I remember Creation Fest this year, 2018.
Of course, one of my boys was there.
And he was playing drums, and it was the most beautiful moment when your Matt turned to him and just, I don't know, he just spoke words of life, and I can't quite remember exactly what he said, but it was just so profound and amazing and beautiful. And just to hear a father talk to his son publicly in that way was just so moving. It was gorgeous. So, you know, you've got amazing children, you've done an amazing job. If you could turn back the clock and go back there to at any point in any of their lives, would there be anything that you would have done differently?
I had quite a dramatic change at one point, so I did have to change things. But when I do have some regrets that I didn't change it sooner.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't I can't turn back the clock. But if we were going to go back there was a season when I'd started a new job, and the organisation that I worked for had a lot of administrational needs. And I love to help. So I started to gather all these things that weren't really my responsibility, but neither were they anybody else's. And I just started gathering all these things. And at that point, I had 2 young boys, 3 children under 6. Oh. And Gracie would be with me. She'd be on my hip. I'd carry her on one hip, and my, at that point, 4-year-old who wanted to be carried everywhere by me on the other hip. I was like, oh yeah. I was bossing the arm muscles. And because I'd committed to what always wanting to have a 50-50 split, so my constant drive at that point was to make sure I was being mum, wife, employee of the month, everything. I tried to get it all done, be it all, do it all, say it all, fix it all. And my drivers of achiever, my drivers of responsibility, of being a helper, of wanting to do the greater good, just overwhelmed me. And I got to a point, and it physically, funnily enough, I wouldn't say mentally, impacted me, although it did because of afterwards the emotional side of it. But I still had brain capacity, but my body started physically reacting to the stress of what I'd put it under. Oh, wow. I was managing ridiculous numbers of departments and just doing things that I didn't need to do, but felt I needed to do because if I didn't, nobody else would. So it felt like it wasn't a choice. Of course it was a choice. We always have a choice. But at that point, it felt like it wasn't a choice. I had to be here. Still at that point, my husband was suffering with some mental health problems himself. So I was sort of managing that at home as well, and in a busy job, a job with profile as well. And I was in an executive position in the organisation. And I started vibrating. Yeah. So did you ever have a BlackBerry phone? Yeah. One of those Blackberries? Yeah. And they vibrated constantly when people were pinging you, messenger, ping, 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 ping. I was like, ping. Ping off. Whoever invented that ping. I hope I never meet them. But I'd be in bed. Matt would say to me, baby, phone's vibrating. And it wasn't. It was me. And I was literally vibrating. And then...
palpitations?
Yeah, palpitations. Oh, yeah. So your explain to people what's she going to do? Like, palpitations, and my heart was fluttering. And then, oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed about this. My nephew came to me and said I was also childminding for extra money at the same time. So yeah, I registered as a childminder.
Oh my goodness,
because I didn't want to have childcare for my kids, but I needed the extra money. So I could have done extra hours at work, but I didn't. I chose to register as a childminder. So I'd start work at 6 a.m. and take other people's children, only one actually, and then I'd do the school run, and then I would do my normal job till 2:30. Then I would come home and pick up a house full of children, and then take my own kids home. So it was like the best I could find at that moment. But my nephew came at one point and he said to me, Auntie Claire, your rabbit looks really, really different from our rabbit. And I said, oh, why is that? He went, he looks quite a bit skinnier. You can see his bones. And I said, I don't think I fed the rabbit in about 2 weeks. I know, honestly, I was like, at that point, I had the biggest meltdown because I just realised I brought the rabbit in the house. He survived, by the way, don't worry. He's fine, people. The rabbit is fine now. But I brought the rabbit inside, kept him warm, gave him a hot water bottle, fed him and looked after him and sorted it out. But it was the shock that I needed to realise that you cannot be it all, say it all, do it all, fix it all. And neither should you be that. So those two combinations, the physical of me and then the physical of seeing the fact that I was so busy, I had even neglected like the family pet, you know.
Sorry, it's not funny. Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I love it how these things can tip us over the edge.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
The rabbit, the emaciated rabbit, and me vibrating in the middle of the night as if I didn't need a bigger signal. So it just was like the slap in the face that I needed just to go. And I went to see my bosses, and they were actually really good. They said to me, we can't take things off you, Claire, because at the moment you will just pick something else up. So they said, you need to go away and put your own boundaries in place.
Great.
And I was like, actually, that's really good piece of advice.
Yeah.
So I did, and it was actually around the Christmas time, from the January period, I changed a few key things. Like the moment I left work, I would switch my phone off and I was no longer at work. So I turned it upside down, and also I started doing things like emails and things. People that I'd been managing I'd created a bit of a rescue culture. So all of the staff that I managed would CC me into the messages, and they knew, because maybe member of staff wouldn't respond, they knew I would for them, because I would fix things for them. I'd fix things for everybody.
Yeah.
So I started saying, although I appreciate your email, I believe this member of staff is more than capable to deal with their own job. And within a couple of weeks, I reduced my inbox by hundreds of emails.
No way.
Honestly, by hundreds of emails. I pressed pause. I went back to a more peaceful place. And it was simple, but it was like I had to grab some things in my life. Of course, I was still in this executive position, so I had things to manage and do. Of course, I was still childminding, and because we needed that. And of course, I still had my own children and my own husband. But my mindset shifted. And in that, then, the things that were the little things that I just didn't need to do. I didn't need to bake a cake every time it was a kid's birthday, so Betty Crocker became my best friend. I didn't need to I didn't need to peel potatoes every time, so I bought frozen mash. Honestly, it was the simple things like that. I didn't need to make gourmet food every day for my kids, so beans on toast will absolutely be more than sufficient for your needs. Every day is not a favourite day. So things like that became much, much easier for me were the things that were actually driving me mad and driving me to a place where the stress was too much. And then some really conversations with people at work about talking about the things that I could move and shift and change that I shouldn't be doing. So yeah, it only took a real maybe 6 months to turn that around, but I can feel myself now when I go back into that state. But I can forecast it now.
Yes.
A much more confident place. But yeah, I would change that. I would tell, if I could go back and tell my younger self something, it would be that you don't have to be it all, do it all, fix it all, mend it all. You don't have to do any of those things. You do what you can, and you do it well, and you do it to the best, and you aspire for greatness. But greatness isn't about excellence. It's about just finding the beauty in the things that you can do really, really well. And if you can't, like you've got your team here, find other people to do it with you, that come on the journey with you. And
sure, and help you out along the way. Yeah, it's so good. And I think what's interesting about that story is that we could say, I'd look back and I'd turn back the clock and I'd change that, but actually that was such a massive learning curve for you that without knowing how far your body can go, you pushed yourself to the absolute limit, and now that's the boundary. Now you know your capacity.
You are right.
So you can dial it back. You know the signs and you know the triggers, and I think it's important if you're listening out there that actually, if you've got yourself to a place of absolute maximum capacity, that's good, that's okay. Now you know.
Absolutely.
But it's about how do you make the changes that like Claire made to sort of bring it back into a place where you can manage it all.
Yeah, totally. I think that's fair. I think that's an absolute fair point. I think it's just understanding yourself, knowing what your boundaries are. Sometimes we don't do things because we think we're not capable and we're actually capable of more. Sometimes we don't do enough because we're scared that we're not actually, it's going to break us. And sometimes we do too much. And it's like, that's a sliding scale. I think
finding that balance.
It's finding the balance. It's finding trusted friends who can speak into your life. It's watching the patterns of your life unfold, being really clear with yourself, being kind to yourself, understanding, knowing what makes you tick, knowing what makes you froth, knowing what makes you like happy, knowing what makes you sad, owning your own story, owning your own narrative. That's been really important. So that would be one that I think that would be the only thing that I feel like I could have, some things in that time. At one point, Matt just wrote on the diary, it was so funny, paper calendar. We don't have one anymore, but we used to always have a year planner. Yeah. And when it got really intense, he got a big black marker. This is my husband, and he said, "Nothing goes on this calendar without a discussion." On every page of the year. So it was like there was no way he was going to let me. He was brilliant. He stepped in and just was really helped me. He didn't look down on me. He was like, right, babe, nothing goes in this calendar without a discussion. I'm in this with you.
So good. Well, thank you so much. How can the listeners connect with you?
Well, you'll always find me on social media.
Yes, you are a social media queen. I love it.
So life's better done with other people, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So you can find me just Clare Hooper on Instagram. That would be my favourite place for us to connect.
Clare.
Yeah, no I. I mean, I've got two I's, but no I in my name.
Yeah,
you can find me there or on Busy Doing Good.
Busy Doing Good.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk about the church that we're planting as well, but maybe we could do that at some other point.
Oh, let's quickly talk about the church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Claire and her husband Matt are setting up a church in Manchester, UK, in the Northern Quarter.
Yes, that's
Tell us about what we'll find at your church.
Yeah, Kingdom Company is
cool name for a church.
Yeah, it isn't it? I love it.
Kingdom Company.
It's a place that we have been developing. It's an idea. It's a space that we're creating. It's a church. So obviously, it's got faith around that, but rediscovering those simple ways of Jesus and this man that changed everything. He's a history maker, and we've got so tied up with him being part of a religion or a story. Maybe you understand the story of him at Christmas, or maybe you've experienced him as in your own religion or in your own faith. But we just wanted to explore a little bit more about that in the church. So it'll look like a church, it'll feel like a church, some of those experiences, but very much so it's going to be a creative space. And the Northern Quarter couldn't be more creative, right? And me and Matt, artist and musician, we can't help ourselves. We want to do that. It'll be hopefully a safe environment. It'll be a place where you can bring your family, multi-generational. It'll be a place where you can connect with other people who understand your faith, but will help you and chat to you. A place where you can help and people can help you, where you can maybe share things and people share things with you. A place where you'll learn, where maybe you'll teach others as well. It's definitely that. It's a collective with a purpose.
Fantastic.
We're excited about that.
Yeah.
In the new year, we're only doing interest meetings at the moment, team church, and we're looking at planting the actual church in late 2019. So you can connect with us through my Instagram as well, or on Kingdom Company.
Yeah, so is it just Kingdom Company on Instagram?
Kingdom Company on Instagram, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, again, a good place to find us and hang out.
Yeah, and would you be willing to share your email address if anyone wants to drop you a line?
Yeah,
where can they, how?
So just email me, clarehooper@kingdomcompany.co.
Just .co?
.co.
Nice.
Yeah, easy.
Kingdomcompany.co.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming in and joining me today. Thank you for all your inspiration. I feel very uplifted.
Good.
And love your energy, Claire. Thank you for being part of my world. Thank you for being part of the Lily Jo Project. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm sure
you're doing a great work.
Oh, thank you so much. But having people like you around enables this to happen. So thank you.
My pleasure.
On the podcast, we cover a range of sensitive topics and perspectives. Some of the points raised in this episode you may strongly agree with or strongly disagree with. I want to know who you are and what you think. Last season we had so many downloads, but we don't know who you are. I want to get to know you. I really want to hear your thoughts and continue the conversation, and that's why I've created a brand new Facebook group. You can find the link to the group in the podcast description, or you can search for Lily Jo Presents Eavesdrop on Facebook. On joining the group, we would like you to fill out a very short questionnaire, and in return, you will be entered into our competition for a chance to win some Lily Jo merchandise, plus a day in the studio with us as we record season 3 of Eavesdrop. The winner will be announced on Friday the 22nd of March, so don't miss out on this opportunity to connect in this way. I am so excited to get to know you. I will see you in the group. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please be sure to subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, why not share with your friends? Please check the description box below for extra links and further information to some of the topics discussed in today's episode. Also, you'll find information about what's coming next. For further information, top tips and advice on all kinds of mental health issues, including low mood, anxiety, self-harm, eating disorders and more, please do check out www.thelilyjoproject.com. You can find my music across all digital platforms, including Spotify and iTunes. See you next time. Throughout 2019 and 2020, I will be touring high schools across the UK and Europe with my Let's Talk About Mental Health interactive and fun workshop. 75% of those with a mental health condition start developing it before the age of 18. That's why I believe it's so important to let young people know what to do if they are struggling with a mental health condition and how to maintain good mental health. If you would like me to lead this workshop at your school, please do get in touch. Email us, admin@thelilyjoproject.com, or why not check out our schools pack, which is www.thelilyjoproject.com/schools. We can't wait to meet you. Are you feeling stuck? Do you need a little help to get your life back on track? Do you have big dreams but don't know where to start? Why not book a session with me where we can explore together your dreams and turn them into a reality? I offer life coaching to individuals through my Unstoppable Life Coaching business. Why not find a link in the description box below and book today? And don't forget to use the unique discount code EAVESDROP for an extra 10% off. Are you looking for an interactive workshop on how to overcome low self-esteem for your next festival, youth event or schools workshop? Why not book me, Lily Jo, to lead my brand new I Am Worthy workshop where I teach best practices on how to overcome low self-esteem. This workshop is not just for girls, but it's for your guys as well. Find a link in the description box below to book today, and don't forget to use the unique discount code EAVESDROP for 10% off.